Gotta smoke a cigarette for this one, man. Yes, as you can see from the title, I was married for one night. And I know y'all probably thinking like, Sag, how the fuck was you married for one night? Hey, man, it is what it is, man. I got some life stories for y'all. Anyways, man, before I get off into this story, if you're a returning subscriber, you already know. If you're not a returning subscriber, but you're a returning viewer, man, hit that subscribe button below so you can be the first to know and help the channel grow, man. We're trying to go back up with this channel since they deleted my other one, man. And I'm going to be giving out $100 to a random subscriber once I reach 1,000, all right? So I told y'all the story about AIT, right? And I mentioned that I had a little side piece in AIT that I used to fuck with. This chick was like 5 years older than me. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna put her name out there. We still cool to this day. You know what I'm saying? And I mentioned this in the Larry Pearson story too, because this is a prequel to the Larry Pearson story. All right, so let's take this back to August of 2007. You feel me? August of 2007. Now, mind you, I was in AIT in the end of 2000 to March of 2001. Now, during this time, I ended up getting married. But prior to that, I used to fuck with this chick, and she was in my not my platoon, but in my company. I was in Mike Company of Fort Lee, Virginia, right? AIT. She had the same job as me. Now, I used to bone her ass down every weekend at the Howard Johnson right there in Richmond, Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia. You know what I'm saying? And once we ended AIT, I ended up getting married, so I stopped fucking around with her. But I ended up going to Germany. That's a whole nother story. I told y'all some of them German stories already, but I'm going to elaborate and get into the whole German story. I'm going to probably break that up into like 3 different parts, because a lot of shit happened in Germany, man. And I'll just be giving y'all little stories here and there. So be sure that you go down and check out some of those too, because I got way more to come, right? I spent 5 years of my life over in Germany. So anyways, so she happened to go to Germany too, right? Now, mind you, like I said, I got married in AIT. I went on my wife's orders. So I never, like, the whole time I was in Germany, I never fucked with her. She was stationed like in, where's that shit at? Wurzburg? Wherever Dirk Nowitzki is from in Germany. I want to say it's Wurzburg. I was in Hanau, Germany. So, but we still kept contact with each other. Because like I said, I was boning her down for a long time until I got married. You know what I'm saying? So, longer story short, after I came back from Iraq, me and my ex-wife relationship was pretty much done. I ended up getting into some legal trouble, which I will tell that story here in another video, where I ended up catching 2 felonies in Germany. Yeah, stay around for that story, right? And so I came back from Iraq. Me and my ex-wife is done. She came back from Iraq. I'm out the army at this point, you know what I'm saying? So I remember going over there and finally linking up with her after like fucking 4 years, right? Of not seeing her since AIT, but she was stationed in Germany. So we both leave Germany. I leave in 2005. I don't even remember when she left. It probably was after I left, right? Now, fast forward, that was 2005. Now, mind you, we're still keeping in contact with each other through MySpace, through emails, maybe write a letter or a card here for birthday. Like we was best friends. Like, we're still good friends to this day, and it's 2023, and this story is way back into 2007, right? Like, we're still good friends now. I could call her up right now if I wanted to. Anyways, so fast forward to 2007, right? I remember her telling me, like, you know, hey, she, at this point, she's working in Kuwait. She's a contractor in Kuwait. You know, them contractors be making like 100, 200,000 a year tax free. Matter of fact, whenever I leave Japan, I'm probably gonna go back to Hawaii for a little while, but then I'm gonna probably go out and find me a job in my, like, currently with what I do in logistics to Kuwait or Qatar or something like that, right? So at this time, I'm working for AAFES, which is like the Army equivalent of Walmart. You know what I mean? It's where all the military people shop at. And she's, like I said, a contractor in Kuwait. All right, so she's making fat ass money. You know what I mean? Like 100, 200,000 a year. She's been out there for a few years. So she's like, hey, I'm about to go on like a fucking month vacation. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, when you coming to Cali? She's like, well, that's the thing. I'm going to go on a 2-week cruise with my mom to Alaska. Then I wanted to see if you'll come out to Vegas with me for 2 weeks. I'm like, shit, I got the leave time, but Vegas? Like, I've never been to Vegas at this point. I done been to Vegas 50 fucking times now. Those are whole other stories, you know what I'm saying? But at this time, I had never been to Vegas, right? So she like, hey, check this out. Just buy your plane ticket and I'll pay for everything during these whole 2 weeks, right? So who wouldn't find time to go to Vegas if the bitch is talking about going and paying for everything, right? Now, mind you, this is a female who's bougie. I guess that's the perfect word that I can use for it, right? She's bougie, meaning she only likes top of the line shit, whether it comes to hotels, whether it comes to lifestyle, whether it comes to food, you know what I mean? So, and she got money at the time like that, right? So I'm like, shit, yeah, I'll meet you in Vegas for 2 weeks. Let's get it. So I remember I go to Vegas. She rents us this fat ass suite in Bally's Hotel. I'm not sure if that's still a hotel in Vegas. I'm pretty sure it is, but we had a fat ass suite in Bally's, right? I'm talking room service all day and night, the whole kit and caboodle, right? Now, during these whole 2 weeks, man, we doing everything you can do in Vegas. We going to fucking shows. We going out to all these high-end restaurants. She's paying for everything, bruh. I might have bought like 1 or 2 bottles of alcohol during this whole trip, but she's not letting me pay for shit. She's paying for everything, you know what I mean? So I'm like, shit, it's up, you know what I mean? Like, it's, and mind you, like, she don't eat at McDonald's. We eating at 5-star restaurants with 5-course meals, the whole shit. I probably still got pictures somewhere on a fucking SanDisk from these times, you know what I mean? Who uses those now? This is when digital cameras was in, right? But anyways, so longer story short, man, the whole time we in Vegas, we joking like, hey, it's 3 things that you don't do in Vegas. Lose all your money, get married, or get arrested, or all 3, right? But during this trip, I'm watching her throw like 200 down at the roulette table, losing. Throw another 200 down, losing. I'm like, bruh, like, this is a waste of money. Like, I'm not a big gambler, you feel me? And if I do gamble, it's going to be on Baccarat. That's my game of choice. But she is a roulette player. So she's just throwing money like the whole 2 weeks. She just gambling. She fucking off hella money. And I'm watching this, right? So I remember one time during the trip, she was like, hey, can you go down to the ATM and pull some money out? Because we were about to go do something and she's getting ready, but she wanted me to hurry up and go get the money. You know what I mean? So I remember going down to the ATM and I put her card in, I put her code in, and I pull out the money. Now, when you pull out money, I pull out maybe like $300. When you pull out the money, it tell you the balance on the receipt. When I looked at the balance on the receipt, it was like 400 bands up in that bitch. I looked again, I'm like, this bitch is balling. But mind you, like I said, she got a job where she's making 100,000 or 200,000 tax free a year, and she's been out there like 3 years already. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, shit, no wonder why she's over here paying for whole trips. Now, mind you, she went to Alaska for like 2 weeks, and she's showing me these paintings that she bought, like spending like $2,000 or $3,000 on paintings. She bought her mom like a nice ass couple grand watch. So she's already spent hella bands on a 2-week Alaskan cruise. Now she's here in Vegas for 2 weeks, spending hella bands, and then she's going to Atlanta for like another 2 weeks to visit some old army friends before she goes back to Kuwait, right? So I'm just like, okay, well, now I really don't feel bad about her spending money because I know she got it. So I think this night we went to go see like Carrot Top or something, but we went to go see Carrot Top. We had some good ass seats. We went to another 5-star restaurant this night. Longer story short, man, It's at the very end of the trip. It's the night before we both about to leave, right? It's a Saturday night. I remember they had just opened LAX up in the Luxor Hotel. Like, they had just opened that shit, right? So we go to the Luxor, you know what I mean, and we getting drunk, you know what I mean? It's like 11 o'clock. Now, mind you, let me backtrack for a second. I'm supposed to go to Qatar in October. October 1st, I'm supposed to go to Qatar. So this is the date that this night is August 29th of 2007. So she already knows, like, hey, in another month, you're going to come to Qatar. That's just like another hour away. That's where we go to party, because you can't drink in Kuwait, but you can drink in Qatar. So I'm like, hell yeah, I'm about to be out there for 6 months. Like, we going to really kick it then, you know what I mean? So we already got that established. Like, hey, in another month after this trip, we going to be right back to kicking it, just like old times, you know what I mean? So keep that in mind. So fast forward to the last night of our trip. We in the Luxor, we getting drunk, you know what I'm saying? And sure enough, we start talking about this marriage shit. You know what I mean? We like, man, you know, we didn't lose our money, we didn't go to jail, and we didn't get married. You know what I mean? Like, we made it through the whole trip without falling into one of them stereotypes. And then I don't know how it began, but we started talking about marriage. You know what I mean? And shit. Longer story short, is to the point where we talking like, shit, let's just go get married. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think it was her idea, kind of. And I'm like, shit, I'm with it. You know what I mean? Because at this time, I'm weighing the pros and cons of it. I'm like, I already know this female. We have great chemistry. Like, even to this day, some of the best chemistry I've ever had with anybody ever. You know what I'm saying? That's probably why we're still good friends. Haven't seen her since this night. You know what I mean? But I've talked to her plenty times, you know, since then. But we got great chemistry. She's got money. She's never been married. She doesn't have any kids. She's pretty. You know what I mean? And she's fucking with me. So I'm like, shit, let's go get married then. So we asked the bartender, like, hey, what time do they close getting married? You know, what time can you get married to? And he's like, shit, you can get married all night. But the thing is you can only get a marriage license until 12 o'clock. So we looking at the time, it's 11:30, right? So he's like, I'm like, well, shit, where's the marriage? Where's the courthouse or wherever we got to go? He's like, man, that shit is on the way other end of the strip. It's a Saturday night, mind you. He was like, I don't think y'all gonna make it. So we was like, all right, check it out. Let's go right now. Let's take this last little shot and let's go get in a taxi and go there. If we make it, hey, we get married. If not, then it wasn't meant to be. So he's like, good luck. You know what I mean? So we said, fuck it. We both took one shot and said, fuck it, let's go do it. So we get in a taxi. We tell him what's going on. Like, hey, man, we're trying to get married. You know what I'm saying? He's like, man, that shit's about to close. So we was like, hey, here go a little bit extra if you can get us there. So sure enough, boom. He drives all the way down there. I bullshit you not. We get right to the steps. It's like some steps you got to go. If you've been married in Vegas or you know what I'm talking about, you got to go up like 50 fucking steps to get to the door. So we get out the taxi. We going up. The dude come to open the door to lock it. We like, hey, hold on. He let us in. It was another couple that came and they was trying to get up there and he closed the door on their ass and locked it. It was like, they ain't getting married tonight, but you guys, you know, if that's what you came to do, y'all are in luck. You know what I'm saying? So we thinking to ourselves like, man, this shit is meant to be. Like, what are the odds that we made it all the way from the Luxor all the way down here? The last people inside, like, it's meant to be. We drunk. So I remember being in line, right? Mind you, I'm drunk. So I'm like, man, I started thinking about me and her talking. I'm like, man, I wonder if it's true, like, people just come to Vegas and get married without even really knowing each other. But mind you, me and her been knowing each other for like 7-8 years up to this point, right? So I'm joking around. It's a long ass line of people in there waiting to get a marriage license. Now this shit is for real. Like, it's like 20 couples up in this bitch. So I'm like, hey, is it true that people just come here to get married? How long you guys knew each other? They was like, we just met on Wednesday. It's Saturday. They like, we just met on Wednesday. So we like, damn, that shit is true. We looking at each other, we laughing. They like, what about y'all? We like, man, we've been knowing each other for years. So then another couple, like two couples ahead of them, turned to us and they said, we just met today. We all was like, what? Damn. You know what I'm saying? So longer story short, man, we get the marriage license and we go and we get married in the clothes that we're in. I probably still got pictures of this shit somewhere on a little disc, right? So we get married, you know what I mean? Like, we tie the fucking knot. Now, mind you, it was cool because, like I said, I'm going to Qatar in like a month. So I'm just meet my wife out there, you know what I mean? And we ended up going to the Palms Casino afterwards to celebrate us getting married because at the time, the Sacramento Kings owners own that shit. So I'm like, man, I want to go to the Palms. That's the only place we ain't been to since the whole trip. Let's go get drunk in the Palms. So that's kind of like what we did. We went to the Palms, you know, we got drunk, even more drunk. And, you know, we went back to the room and, hey, man, I'll leave that up to your imagination. Anyway, so the next day comes, right? So we both got to leave. I got to go back to Sac. She got to go to Atlanta to finish her little leg of the trip. But we both like, man, I can't believe we really got married. Like, damn, it was meant to be. Like, who would have thought? We started thinking about all the times in AIT we kicked it, the times in Germany we kicked it, and it was like, damn, we was really meant to be together this whole time. And we like, man, who would have knew? You know what I mean? So we married. So I go back to Sac. She go wherever, and then she ends up going back to Kuwait. Now, mind you, between August 29th and October 1st, I already have this trip booked. I'm going to Texas to visit my daughter because, like I told y'all in the story about Larry Pearson, she pulled some fuck shit that June, and I just ended up getting arrested, going to jail, and all that other shit. And then, no, I'm tripping. That happened the next year. That happened in 2008. So this is a prequel to that. So my daughter was in Texas because, like I told you on that Texas story, Larry Pearson story, my daughter's mom used to just dump her off at her parents' house in a way to get back at me. She didn't want, she would, like, instead of just dropping her off with me, who's the father, you know what I mean, who can take care of her, she would just leave her at her parents' house and be like, no, you got to go to my parents' house to visit her. So, okay, cool. I'm about to go to Kuwait, or I'm about to go to Qatar anyway. So I already had a 2-week trip booked up from the middle of September, 2 weeks in the middle of September. So longer story short, I go there, right? Now, I'm visiting my daughter in Texas. While I'm visiting my daughter in Texas, my daughter's mom gets orders to go to Afghanistan. So her parents are like, hey, check this out, man. We know you're a good dad. If you want to take your daughter while she gets deployed for a whole year, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Because at this time, I think my daughter's mom was like somewhere in Georgia. She was stationed in Georgia, but she's leaving my daughter in Texas with her parents. Because at this time, she's married to a whole nother nigga now. That's a whole nother story, right? So she leaving my daughter with her parents while she's over here rendezvousing with her second husband in Georgia. So I'm like, you know what? Like, that's a good idea. You know what? Like, I'm supposed to go to Qatar in a month or on the 1st, but if I can keep my daughter for the year, I'm a father first. So I'm just going to keep my daughter and just stay at work. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened. I ended up getting a plane ticket and I got my daughter and I flew back to California. Now, she had been telling me, you know, like, hey, I can't do the long distance relationships. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just ain't a thing that I'm into. So are you sure you're coming to Qatar? And I'm like, yeah, I'm coming to Qatar. So I didn't know that this was going to happen. You know what I mean? So anyways, I ended up, you know, having to tell her like, hey, I can't come to Qatar because I got my daughter now for a whole year. And she's like, what do you mean? Like, I thought you was coming to Qatar and we were gonna, like, you're my husband now. I'm like, yeah, I'm your husband, but like, I'm a father first. Before I'm a husband, before I'm anything, I'm a father. You know what I'm saying? Like, she don't got no kids at this time, so she don't understand. Now, looking back, we've talked about this plenty of times. She has kids now, so she understands now what she didn't understand before, and she like kind of like respects me more because I chose to be a father to my daughter at this time instead of just running off with her to to the Middle East. Like my daughter's mom had ran off with her new husband and left my daughter in Texas while she's in Georgia with her new nigga. You feel me? So she understands and respects that now, but at the time she didn't want to hear that shit. You know what I'm saying? So I remember like we arguing about this shit for like a good 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden the communication just stopped. You know what I'm saying? She ended up changing her phone number. I'm like, bro, we just got married. Like, we not boyfriend and girlfriend. This ain't no fling no more. Like, bitch, we're married. We're legally married. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, whatever. So longer story short, time goes on. I don't hear from her or nothing, right? So I remember Facebook started popping like 2009. I think, now mind you, that was 2007. Fast forward to 2009, Facebook is popping. Somebody introduced me to Facebook, and I'm looking up all my old classmates, and I'm like, you know what? Whatever happened to this chick? I wonder if she's on Facebook now. So I hit her up on, or I typed in her name on Facebook, and the first picture that popped up was a little baby in a fucking like baby tub. So I'm like, and she got a really, really unique name. So nobody else has this name. So I know that's her. So I'm like, so I'm looking up like her family, it showed like who her friends were, and I click on one of her brother's things, and he got like a Chicago Cubs. She's from Chicago. He got like a Chicago Cubs hat. So I'm like, okay, I know that this is her now. So I'm like, damn, like she done went and had a baby on a nigga. Like, damn, I know the way a nigga living was whack, but you don't get a nigga back like that. You feel me? So I remember I had her email still. So I wrote her a long email like, hey, bruh, like I'm not, by this time, I'm with my son's mom, my youngest son's mom, the one that I told y'all about, who I got caught up by my side chick. I'm with, me and her are official now. You know what I'm saying? Like, after she did that shit, I just was like, you know what? She ain't gonna talk to me no more. Life goes on, you know. So I ended up fucking with my youngest son's mom, and we ended up getting together and like being a couple and shit, right? So I remember writing her an email like, hey man, I'm not even mad about this shit. Like, that shit was like damn near 2 years ago, but like, are we still married? Cause like, what if I want to get married one day again? Like, how are we gonna get a divorce? You know? And I remember her writing me this long ass email like, I'm so sorry. I can't believe that, you know, me and you haven't talked. We had such great chemistry, but you know, I told you that I couldn't handle the long distance, and it just didn't seem like it was gonna work out. So I got scared and I got cold feet, and I just decided not to talk to you. That was my way of handling it, which was immature and whoop de whoop de whoop. You know what I'm saying? Longer story short. But she ended up having a kid on a nigga, right? But I'm like, so what's, like, okay, all that's cool, but what happened? Like, she was like, oh no, we got an annulment. I got an annulment. We wasn't never married and living. I mean, we was married, but we was only married for a night. And we didn't ever live together. And then so I just paid the lawyer for the annulment, and it's like it never, you know, happened. And she sent me the paperwork, right? And I probably still got this paperwork. I'm going to go back home soon in November. So if I find this paperwork still after all these years, I'm going to make another video and show y'all the reasoning. Because it said in bold print, the reason why she wants to dissolve this marriage is because I made false promises to her that I was going to come move to Kuwait and all this other shit, and I didn't, you know what I mean? And that's the reason why she was allowed to get an annulment, man. So, like I said, man, that's a story about how I was married for one night. You know, it is what it is, man. Life works out in some crazy ways, and who knows what would have happened if we would have stayed together, or I would have chose to just still go to Qatar and all that other shit. But, you know, I don't have any regrets in life. It's maybe one or two things that I wish I could have did different, which I'll make another video about that, but I don't really have no regrets, man. And like I said, me and her are still good friends to this day. So if you ever see this, shout out to you. And yeah, man, that's my story about being married for one night. Stay tuned for some more life stories, man, because I told y'all I'm giving y'all 30 life stories for the 30 days of September, man. Hit that subscribe button below so you can be the first to know, and you can help the channel grow. It's King.